What's up, everyone? Path of Exile 1 is about to have its next big league. And not only is this one of the biggest leagues it's had in a while, it's the only league it's had in a long time, because this is the first league we've had since the launch of Path of Exile 2. So today I wanted to just talk about why you should give Path of Exile 1 a try if you've never played it before. So this is aimed at new players who are maybe new to the ARPG genre and are a bit nervous or apprehensive about trying such a big and confusing game, or people who Path of Exile 2 was your first game and, you know, PoE 1 is just the old game, so you kind of don't want to play that anymore. Well, today I want to tell you why maybe you should give it a try. And of course, I'll try and keep this fair and give some criticisms on why maybe this might not be the game for you, or why it might be hard to adjust to this after playing Path of Exile 2. So let's get into it. And I will just say the reason I want to talk about this is because GGG have just confirmed that they will be running these two games alongside each other on 4-month patch cycles. They want to release every 4 months. They want a new league for each game, a new big concept patch every 4 months. So if you like Path of Exile 2, you have this massive game that is going to get big, new, exciting leagues every 4 months alongside PoE 2. So if you like one of them, you know, there's a good reason you'll like them both because they have a lot of similarities and they're going to be running, you know, alongside each other. So you can jump into one, play it for a few months, big league. For the other one comes out, you can jump over to that. So that's the reason I kind of want to make this, because I feel like a lot of people will miss out on PoE 1 because they've got this in their mind that this is the old game, it's abandoned, and it really isn't the case. So let's get into it. Okay, now the first thing to talk about is probably the most important thing I look for when looking for a new ARPG or one that I want to put a lot of time into, and that's the end game. This has not only one of the best designed endgames, but it has the most content of any ARPG out there. If you're coming from Diablo 4 has probably 1% of the endgame of Path of Exile 1. And then similarly, because Path of Exile 2, great game, I absolutely love it, hundreds of hours in Path of Exile 2, it is an early access. It is an early access game that really hasn't fleshed out their endgame yet. Their endgame is still seeing massive changes left and right, massive adjustments in what they want their endgame to be. And, you know, the core of how the Atlas works is still being redesigned. So I'm not going to say PoE 2 is a bad game, but its endgame is not even finished because it's an early access. However, in PoE 1, everything's just kind of polished and finished. So in PoE 2, where you have this, you know, this big atlas and you have to go and do towers and all that doesn't exist. You just open the map device and you put a map in and you make the maps you want to enjoy and the content that you want to play, and you play it back to back to back. You set up yourself a bunch of maps, you go run them, and that's it. So that's one thing. And then the second thing is all of the systems in PoE 2 that you might be used to, so breaches, deliriums, expeditions, that kind of thing, they're all in PoE 1, pretty much, almost. Most of the systems in PoE 2 came from PoE 1. However, PoE 1 has just significantly more. They have like this mine, and you can delve down the mine, and you have to follow like a mine cart. It's got upgrade system. There's like a tower defense thing where like you have to protect this zone in a map. It'll just spawn and you protect this zone. And then, you know, you build towers and monsters come along waves. But that's just a couple of the systems. There are a lot more. There's like a heist system where you can set up a team and go do heists. There's like a town where you can like manage workers. There's so much to the end game and to the things you can do. And it's definitely something that if you like PoE 2 especially, and if you like ARPGs, like grindy end game systems, you've got to give it a try. It's so good. One thing you might be worried about is that just sounds too overwhelming. Well, I will say, as you go through the story, there are 10 acts, and every act or two, every couple of acts, they will drip feed these systems to you. So you'll get to one act and you'll meet someone and they'll say, hey, there's this mine, and then you'll go there. They'll teach you about the mine, and then it'll unlock as a system, and you can go there whenever you want. If you never want to go there again, cool. If you want to say, this is something I really enjoy, I'm going to do it on repeat, you can do that too. And that's kind of how the end game works. There are people who have probably never, ever dealt or done any of the betrayer systems, or never done anything with the heists, or never really, you know, there are systems people just don't do because they don't like it. And that's the beauty of having so many. So it's overwhelming the first, you know, if I was to explain it all to you, but playing it doesn't feel it. Okay, now let's talk about something that a lot of people are going to be asking when they think about PoE 1, and that is, how much is how big is the campaign? How am I behind? You know, is it going to take me hours and hours to even see all this cool endgame content? No. So one thing that is going to be a big question is, how big is the game? And it is in two parts. You have part 1, part 2, and each part is 5 acts. So you have, 1 to 5, 6 to 10. Now that sounds very daunting, and it is quite long in terms of, how many different maps you have to go through. Each one of these is probably like an individual map that you have to work through. So there's a lot of different maps. However, one thing I will say is if you were to compare PoE 1 and PoE 2, PoE 2 right now has, three maps, three acts, and then 3 acts on Cruel. This has 10. I believe that this is faster. I believe that this is much, much faster to get through for one reason, and that is we have a ridiculous amount of movement speed from level 1. From the very start of the game, you have significantly more movement speed to the point where if you get these big zones, these big maps, like let me find a bit of a clunky one. Something like this, right? You go in and there are like 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 exits to this map, right? So it's kind of like a bit of a chore to get through. You have so much movement speed that you will just fly through it. At level 1, you're given a potion that gives 40% increased movement speed. You get like movement speed on your boots. You have like dashes, blinks that you can just chuck these gems in at the start of the game. You can just be flying through maps from the start. So even though 10 acts seems very daunting, it's really not. So I would say like the time to get to endgame is not bad. If you're coming from something like Diablo 4, that's where you're gonna not enjoy this maybe, because Diablo 4 has this really good catch-up mechanic where, if you've beat the game on one character, you can just never do the story again. You just click create character with a skipped campaign, and every ult you make on every single season, every patch, you can just jump straight into like an end game version of the character, or like the story skipped and you just have to do a bit of leveling. No matter what you do here, every single season, you have to grind the axe and you have to replay your characters to get to endgame. So I'd say it's kind of like in the middle. It's one of the grindier, ARPGs, but it's not as bad as PoE 2 in my eyes. But yeah, and once you get to endgame, it's pretty much everyone's in the same boat really. Everyone starts, fresh league. Everything gets reset. Your stash is new. Your characters are new. The end game progression is new. The items available, it's all reset. So it's a very fair playing ground. Obviously, if you are a meta gamer who's played for years and years and years, you're gonna crawl ahead very fast, and you're gonna be at the top very fast. But generally, this is a good time to start the game. You can blitz through these campaigns. I just jumped through in the last 2 days just to refresh myself, and I finished this in like a day and a half of playing. So it's really not so bad. And then you're done for the league. If the league is 4 months, you've done it in a day and a half. It's not that bad, really. And as you go through, I unlocked every one of these like additional systems. I spent a lot of time like building up the town of Kingsmarch. I did some of the delves. I did some of the, I did my ascendancies, things like that. So yeah, I would say it's not bad. And this is a good time to start. League start is the best time. And we haven't had a league start in a long time. So if you've been curious, now is the time. Okay, now for the classes, the ascendancies, the builds, that kind of thing, because this is something where it's probably going to get a bit divisive on whether you want to play this game. And that is because of the skill tree and how the progression works. So I think there are 19 classes right now. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think there's 19. And that comes from mostly the main classes like Shadow, Duelist, Marauder, Witch, Ranger, Templar. And then they each have, 3 subclasses. That's for the most part. And then you kind of like, you make a main class, and then you progress into your subclass, and then you gain extra points. The way it works is you have this big passive tree, which is daunting, which is scary for most new players. Every character will start in a different place on the starting tree. So everyone will start in a different place, and then you will all branch out from the middle in a different section. And then your ascendancy will be a little bit of like an extra window where you can put some points as you level up that ascendancy, your sub job kind of thing. So that's how the builds work. And this is something that only you can ask yourself is this too much for me? This is something that you're going to have to learn. You either have to learn this, you have to go through and look at it and learn it, or you have to follow a build guide, which is what a lot of people do, because there's just so much here. And I will say it's pretty confusing. On top of that, the gem system is more confusing than say Path of Exile 2, and it's significantly more confusing than something like Diablo or Last Epoch, because you don't just have a window. You don't just have a window with all your skills. I've at level 10, I can unlock Fireball. It isn't like that. The way it works is it's all tied to gems. So your gear has sockets, and you get a gem, and you blue gem in blue socket, things like that. So you want to cast Ball Lightning, you put Ball Lightning in a socket. You want to empower Ball Lightning with lightning penetration, you put it in a socket. That's kind of how your builds work. So it can be quite intimidating as a new player. The passive tree is confusing. Where do I even start with my gems? And if you go to buy, if I go to buy like the gem vendor, These are all the gems. So it's very, very, very intimidating, I will say, as a new player. So yeah, I just wanted to make you aware of that. If you're coming from PoE 2, you're pretty much fine. A lot of the gems are got the same. You know, they moved a lot over, so a lot of the gems are the same. You're going to recognize a lot of the skills and abilities and passives and uniques. So there's a ton of crossover there. On top of that, the ascendancy in this game is so much better. You don't have to run like the Trials of Sekhmet or anything dumb like that. You just go into this place. As long as you can beat the mobs, you can fly through it, beat a boss at the end, and you ascend. So yeah, that's something that I have always thought this is the one thing that puts people off Path of Exile, because it's just too much. It's just too much for new players. I personally kind of wish there was like some like, you know, easy mode for this, or some way that like a new player can just have like a little guide and it'll be like, I want to build a, you know, fire archer, click. And then it tells them what skills to get, and then it tells them where to go. So they can at least like play the game for a bit before, you know, you get intimidated by this and the skills. And but yeah, that's just something that it's the game. If you want to take the time to learn this, it is extremely rewarding. It is extremely fun, and yeah, highly recommend it. If you don't have the time, follow a build guide. It's really not that bad, but I get it if it's too much for you. It's a lot. Okay, now just quickly on crafting, I'm not going to go into tons of depth and make it really confusing, because there are so many items and things you can do with your items in the game that it's overwhelming if you get it all. If I try and explain it all in like a couple of minutes, basically all I'm going to say is, when it comes to an ARPG, deterministic crafting is very important. Saying, I want to make a staff that deals fire damage, and having a way to make a staff that deals fire damage is very important. Diablo 4 does it pretty well. Last Epoch does it incredibly well. PoE 2, not so much. It's very RNG heavy. I would say PoE 1, very good. PoE 1 is very good. So you have a crafting table, a crafting bench, which is actually a crafting bench. So if I just identify this item I've got in my inventory, this is just a chest piece. If I go on the crafting bench, let's say I wanted to use this. Let's use an item I've actually got. Let's use these gloves, right? These basic gloves. So if I take these gloves and I put them in the window, I want to add some sort of damage to these gloves. I can just go down and I can just look at all of the things that I've found that I can craft, and I could just add them to my ability. Let's say I wanted to add mana, right? Max mana. I can just click max mana. I can click here. I've got this one here that can give 35 to 44 max mana, and I press craft. And now these gloves have max mana. There is no RNG. There is no rolling. There is nothing to worry about there, and it just uses items you find as you're playing the game. So this is very nice, and as you progress through the game, you unlock all of the different recipes that give you more and more things you can add to your items. You've also got things like the Horta crafting station, which you can literally like switch modifiers, change modifiers, add a lightning modifier, add a cold modifier, switch one to the other. You know, there's lots of things, and that's just a couple of things that I can show quickly in the hideout. There is so much you can do when it comes to like the items available in the game. You know, all these sockets, you can just roll the sockets. You can roll, you know, maybe I want, you know, 6 sockets on this. I can use items that will roll those sockets. I want to link them all together to have a 6th link. There's items that do that. You want to upgrade from like a normal to a, you know, rare. It's the same. There's so much you can do, to the point where if you put the time in, you will get the good items and you will make your builds work. So yeah, I think it's done very, very, very well. Okay, now let's talk about gameplay and quality of life. So with an old game like this, you're probably a little worried that the game feels bad, or that you know, all the good quality of life is going to the next game. And there is an element of that. The number one issue for me, the one thing that is painful, is no WASD. You know, you have to click to move. It drives me. We've been spoiled on PoE 2. Playing PoE 1 like this feels bad. So yeah, I've even got the vertical mouse out for the gaming session on PoE 1, because it's just, it can get painful clawing over the mouse and mapping like that. So yeah, there's that. On top of that, the joypad support is good. Playing this on a controller is good. But what it doesn't have is like, for example, on Diablo, what you can do is you can run a map, you can run like some content even, and fight some monsters on your controller, and then you can get to town, you can go to the vendor, you can go into your menu, and then you can just grab your mouse and you can just start like moving stuff with your mouse, and you can just use both like in synergy. You can't do that in this game. In this game, if you plug a controller in, you're in the controller version, or like the console version of the game in a way, where everything has to be done with your controller, other than I think typing some stuff in text boxes. But generally, you are stuck on the controller unless you log back to the home screen and log back in. So yeah, that is like the number one thing for me. If they made that change, incredible. But PoE 2 will always feel more comfortable to me because they have that worked out so much better. Okay, so overall, should you try Path of Exile 1 with the new league, Secrets of the Atlas? I would say I'm going to bucket it into like who I think would enjoy it. If you've played PoE 2 and you've not played 1 ever, or you didn't really try it, please give it a go. Please try it. If you like the end game, you like the items, the builds, the crafting, almost every single thing about PoE 2 is done better in PoE 1 because it's finished, polished, and has years of content. Whereas PoE 2 is still early access. It's still being made. The end game is okay, but it is a couple of things stitched together. It's nowhere near finished. So PoE 1 is. PoE 1 has years and years and years of content built on top of content on a really good foundation. So give it a try. I think you'll have tons and tons of fun. And because they're building both games on a 4-monthly cycle, it's the perfect thing to jump between. The game isn't abandoned. The game is, you're not playing a dead game. The game is going to be continually updated. Or if you get a cool item in 1, they're going to have it transfer over to 2. Lots of the cool quality of life support from 2 is being moved back into 1. They're going to have WASD soon. They're going to have, there was like loads of things that we've recently got into 2, like, all the breachstone shards dropping at the end rather than having to pick them all up. That's moved back into 1. So they're kind of being worked on together. And I would definitely say give it a go. If you are, maybe you've never played a Path of Exile game before, it's hard to say whether you would prefer starting with 1 or 2. I think 2 is more beginner friendly in that the skill system is a lot easier. So I would probably say give 2 a try. But right now, this is a free game. PoE 1 is a free game. You can jump into this for free. Right now, when this new league comes out in a couple of days, you can jump into it for free and try it. Whereas, PoE 2, because we're in early access, you have to buy the early access package to get in. So I would say now, try 1. Try 1 for now. Have a little play around. Maybe it's too confusing and you don't like it. It's free. You haven't lost anything. If you like the idea, but you're still confused, maybe give 2 a try. The only people I would say this is you're not going to enjoy this is if you want to just have a easy brain off fun time. This is a complicated game. The systems, there are lots and they throw them at you one after the other after the other. The itemization is a lot to learn. The passive tree is a lot to learn. There's a lot of things that you have to learn in this game. And if you like putting in time and being rewarded for it, this is the game that you're going to love. If you just want to blast, go play Last Epoch, go play Diablo 4. You can throw something together and just blast through the game and have tons of fun. So yeah, that's what I would say. I know I have a lot of people that, I made a lot of PoE 2 content and lots of people, found this channel from that. And I just wanted to, make this to just say, if you've never tried 1, give it a go and just bring some awareness to this big new league. I'm going to be playing PoE 1, especially a lot when this new league comes out. I'm going to be streaming it. I'll be streaming it here on YouTube and then over there as well. So if you want to come hang out, watch it and chat, definitely would appreciate that. But yeah, I just wanted to raise some awareness and hopefully some people who've never tried it experience it for the first time because it is a really good game. But and also bring some issues to light because I don't want you to waste your time. Maybe it's not for you. WASD might be a no. I'm not playing it without it. So now you know. But yeah, hope that helps. Thank you for watching. Take care. Most importantly, let me know what you think down below. I really want to know, maybe there's something I've mentioned here that's a put off for you or something that you think people would really like. Let them know down below. Maybe there's something that, is really good here that people need to know about and I've just missed it. Let people know. Let me know your thoughts and feelings. Thank you for watching. Take care. And I'll catch you in the next one.